Okay, I want to welcome my guest onto the pod. The first guest I've had in a long time. This is Seher.
Hello.
Seher helps people reconnect with their bodies, especially the pelvic floor, so they can feel safe, strong, and at home in their bodies. You might not think about your pelvic floor every day, but it actually plays a huge role in core strength, bladder and bowel function, sexual health, posture, and your movement every day. So she helps with pelvic floor pain, intercourse pain, incontinence, pelvic tension, or even prepping for pregnancy and birth. And her goal is to create a safe, shame-free space for you to explore your body, release tension, and learn practical tools you can do in your daily life.
Yes, thank you.
Is that good?
Much. That's perfect.
Okay, good. That was her words.
I was like, you took my bio.
That's her bio, 100p. I'm like, better to hear it from her. Can you share a little bit about your journey and like what led you to pelvic floor health?
Thank you. I love this question because it really is a deep personal journey that while the journey was happening, I didn't realize how aligned it was to like my spiritual calling as a human on this earth until now. After doing it for a few years and after gaining wisdom, until now I can look back and be like, wow, I was meant to be here. So I graduated PT school in 2021 and I was just a general PT. So you basically become like a physical therapist that can treat like the entire body. And within 6 months of doing that, I kind of just got bored with it. It wasn't as rewarding as I wanted it to be. And I found myself being drawn to more of the private one-on-one sessions and also drawn towards working with women. Once I finally got certified in pelvic health, I was like terrified to get certified because in order to get certified as a pelvic floor PT, you have to go inside vaginas. That's kind of a crazy thing. Like I've never been inside of a vagina before. Yeah. And now I'm like gonna do that. Yeah. So I was really terrified, and to be honest, I was actually more terrified of others doing that to me more than I was to do it to others, just because of my religious upbringing and cultural backgrounds. Once I became certified and I did like my weekend certification workshop, and basically to get certified, you have to work on each other. So you'll do internal work on your partner, they'll do it back to you. Once I did the certification and I overcame that like mental block of how terrified I was, it opened up like a whole new world for me, and like it was so life-changing. I felt shame leave my body. I felt so much more connected to my pelvic floor. And then instead of it being just something that I dabbled in, because my original intention was, I'm just gonna sometimes treat the pelvic floor. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna still look at the ankle and the shoulder. But then I became so obsessed with it because it was so life-changing and helped me heal so much. Yeah. And now I'm a full-time pelvic floor physical therapist, and that's like all I want to treat.
And she opened her own business. Yes, and she's so doing her thing.
Yes, it's been so aligned.
Where do you feel like the courage came from to like embark on that and push through when you're like, I don't want to fucking touch vaginas, like I'm scared, like all of those layers and barriers that you had? Like how did you push through that? How did you believe in yourself that you could start your own thing?
Amazing. Honestly, my friend, I had just moved to Denver, and I made friends with this other physical therapist who does pelvic health, and her name is Juliana. You might have seen me post about her. I don't know. She's like always on my page. Anyways, me and her.
Probably. I just watched a bunch of duo videos today. Yeah.
She's like a very courageous human being, and she was like down to get certified in pelvic health, and she did not have like any resistance towards it like I did. And it was happening, the certification was happening in her hometown in New Jersey, and she was like, we have a place to stay, just do it. And I felt comfortable with her, so I was like, you know what, if you go inside my vagina, I don't mind. Right. So I will say I credit it to her, like, right, women always empower other women, and so she empowered me to do it. And then once I got to the workshop, they were kind of telling us like, you need to switch partners, you need to like learn on multiple bodies. And once I got there, I felt really comfortable where I didn't need her to hold my hand through it anymore. I was able to open up. But I'll credit her. Like having like a girly that empowers you to do things with goes really far. So
I have some girlies in my life that I relate to and like am inspired by, whether it's in the yoga world or like other things I'm, passionate about, content creating too. But like the girlies that I follow that are like reachable, where I can like message them. They're doing the shit that I want to do, and I'm like, where the fuck are you getting your like courage and bravery from?
Yes.
I literally mention like the people that inspire me all the time because it's so transformational. Seeing other people from where they were to where they are and watching their growth, I'm like, I'm gonna keep fucking going. Like, I'm gonna keep following what I feel like lights me up and what I feel good at. And even when I feel like I'm gonna fail, or even when I feel like I don't know what the F I'm doing, I can imagine the self-doubt at the beginning too. Or I was thinking about looking at your videos, like just watching your content and seeing you in your office and thinking about all the different clients you see. And I'm like, I feel like my people pleaser would be so fucking nervous. Like, am I going to make these people uncomfortable? Like, how did you overcome that?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think I do a really good job at talking about topics that are taboo, like mainly because this is so close to home. I know what it's like to be so uncomfortable. Like the main reason I was even worried about getting certified in pelvic health was I was worried someone was gonna touch my vagina outside of the context that I was used to.
Yeah.
So I
like
know what
only with your one partner,
right?
Everything else is naughty.
Exactly. And well, even that's naughty, right? Like,
yeah. No sex before marriage.
So yeah, that was my upbringing. I think people have different traumas, and that's why some people hold strength in certain areas that like you are inspired by. Like my friend Juliana, she didn't have the same resistance that I did to this work because she didn't have the same background as me. So I needed her to push me to be like, for like in the most trauma informed way, like it's really not that serious. Like there are just women who are learning who are going to do this on you.
Like it's literally a part of your body.
Exactly. So I needed her to push me. And now, because I know how uncomfortable I felt and how like I knew that even though someone touching me there was like the most embarrassing, terrible, shameful thing I could think of, I knew that it was keeping me stuck. And I knew that if I did it and I overcame that, it would like open up this world for me. So having that personal experience, I think I just naturally really know how to make people feel comfortable. Yeah. So I do think I hold really good space. And actually the number one feedback I get from my clients is that they were nervous for the appointment and they felt really comfortable with me.
You are the most like normal, comfy, cozy, just like chill girly. I feel like zero anxiety. You're like overthinking from you. Like your energy is so like you can hold space. Absolutely. It's amazing. Yeah.
And I think that not every pelvic floor physical therapist has that energy.
No.
I think a lot of them do.
Or any sort of like medical provider. Like most experiences from that realm too. Yeah. Like the annual exams. Like those can be traumatic as
It can be. Yeah. So my goal is never to re-traumatize someone. So there is definitely a lot of like reading the person's energy, educating, making the person feel comfortable. But to answer your question, I don't ever doubt my ability to do that. I feel really comfortable in the space of pelvic floors, and I think I know when not to do internal work, even if the person there are sometimes
you can read the vibes,
and sometimes people consent to it when I know that they don't actually want to.
Whoa.
And I think a provider who isn't as in touch would still do it anyways.
And that's like something that you can't really teach.
You can't.
The energetic work is,
you have to lead with intuition in certain aspects for sure.
Totally.
So, yeah.
I want to go back to the discomfort a little bit, like women feeling discomfort in their bodies, like in relationship to their vagina, their vulva, that fear or avoidance of it in general, and how that can affect them like long term. Do you notice pelvic floor pain come from like an emotional piece too? What are like the common symptoms? Just kind of speak to discomfort that women feel when it comes to that part of their body.
There's absolutely an emotional aspect to pelvic pain. I think really to all chronic pain there is an emotional aspect. However, our pelvic floor is just a center that we've all been taught stories since a very young age about this area. Like since you even first got your period, most of us were taught that periods are private, and with privacy, that's one thing, but there's also shame that sometimes comes with it too.
For sure.
So like there's a difference between something being private and sacred and important, and there's a difference between something being like shameful like and bad and not talked about.
Yeah. I think that feeling sometimes can like overlap so much. I'm such an open person that I feel like it's hard for me to keep things private without feeling like I'm hiding something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is an interesting dynamic to bring up.
And I think like everyone has their own relationship with their pelvic floor and how they want to be empowered by it. Some people are less private about it, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not private per se about like any of the topics of like urinary leakage, pelvic pain,
right,
pooping, peeing, like none of that.
Right.
I'm not private about that at all. But I might be private about, I'm not gonna just like, I'm not like a free spirit of like, everybody can go inside my vulva and like, I just
You're
never
not
been
having
that
orgasm
person.
parties.
Yes, but there are some people who are
for sure
really empowered by that. So I think there's a balance that you have to find. However, culturally, most women can relate to having to be private about this area out of shame.
Yeah.
So I do think shame is a feeling that manifests as tension, physical tension in the pelvic floor, and even like tension in the nervous system, which makes it like tight.
Yes.
So then when you do have to open up, or you want to open up, like to have intercourse, there could be pain associated with it. I don't think all pelvic issues come from shame and emotional things, but a lot of times there's a component, like almost all the time there's
right
some
it's like
sort
that
of
biopsychosocial approach. It's like
understanding
that everybody's experience is unique and it can't ever be just one thing. You know, it could be biology,
holistic,
it could be mental, emotional, environmental. I want to speak to some of the main pelvic issues that you might notice that I have. That the girlies that you help like
Vanessa
me have.
absolutely needs
her dream client.
some appointments. There's different realms where there can be issues. So like you said in the intro, bowel, bladder, sex. In terms of sexual functioning, any sort of pain with intercourse that's unwanted, right? Like if pain isn't like your kink and you don't want pain and you're dreading sex, or you're not able to fully relax and enjoy it fully, that's something that most likely working on your pelvic floor will help. Orgasms are a tough one. I think orgasms are very multifaceted, but if you're unable to have orgasms, working on a pelvic floor can usually help too. And from the more male-centered pelvic floor stuff, difficulty with holding an erection, that could be a pelvic floor issue too.
Totally.
So any type of sexual dysfunction, there's probably a pelvic floor component to it. And then really anything dealing with the bladder too. So like you can share your story if you want and what you go through, but any type of bladder urgency, like feeling like you need to pee all the time, feeling like you have a small bladder, feeling like you have to like adjust your day according to your bladder schedule, or any type of urinary leakage with laughing, coughing, sneezing, jumping, lifting, all of that is a pelvic floor thing that could be worked on probably. Bladder irritation, pain is all pelvic floor, and then bowels as well. So constipation is a big one I see. So people who are unable to empty all the way, usually that's a pelvic floor. It could be, not usually, but constipation is also one of those things that's like a million things happening.
For sure.
But pelvic floor, if the pelvic floor is tight, it's going to be hard. There's going to be too much resistance.
Right.
And then that can take away your urge to poop.
Right.
So a lot of things are intertwined in that way too.
So many of us, when I'm teaching in yoga, I'm like, unclench your jaw. And as you say, your throat and your jaw is so connected to your pelvic floor too. And I think most of us are in like this overactive state, right? Like the sympathetic. And so most of us could probably benefit from some pelvic floor therapy, yoga, just increasing awareness. And I feel like it's a part of my body, interesting from like a spiritual perspective, that I have just not paid attention to all that much. And I think that ripples out into my life, and it reflects things that I've gone through in the past, and maybe why I don't feel as comfortable with looking at that area of the body or like really paying attention to it. It's like I feel relatively comfortable with myself, but there is some avoidance, some sort of barrier that's prevented me from like really paying attention to it, because it takes energy, it takes conscious awareness, it takes consistency. And I think sometimes I don't care to like focus on something until it's screaming at me. And that is like advice that I wish I could give my younger self, my current self, my future self, is like, care about things that are whispering to you before they fucking yell. And I feel like I'm getting to that tipping point of like, I've normalized things that I've felt for so long with how I function, right? Jumping when I'm shuffling. I literally put a liner in my underwear because I'm going to piss myself if I'm at a dance class. I'm not fucking going to Sky Zone. Like, absolutely not jumping on a trampoline.
And mind you, Vanessa is a young woman who is not in menopause, not in perimenopause,
haven't had a kid,
has not had a kid, is an athletic
yoga, mindful,
this is very common in fit women too, young women as well. So I think that's like a big, actually, like a stigma that we're already breaking, is this pelvic floor stuff and urinary leakage can happen to anyone, even really fit people.
Right. This is something that my friend and I just talked about when I did my little like intentional consumption collective. She's a strength training coach, and we talked about how more sweating is not better, like the harder the better. And I think that correlates with the pelvic floor a lot too. Harder workouts, more intensity is not better. And I was like the cookie cutter, like core power, constantly just like pushing, going, sweating, more calories, more sweat is better. If I've learned anything in these later years, and that I'm still continuing to learn, is like relaxation is the key. Learning how to unclench. And I love what you talk about with having spiritual practices and like muscle practices to like be able to connect to it, to breathe with it, to relax it. And I love how you talk about when you go to a workout class, like you highlight afterwards what you're doing to like release your pelvic floor. Can you speak to that a little bit? The girlies who are working out and tight and who have never unclenched in their life, the girlies that think the more Kegels, the better, you know, like what would you say to them?
I want to answer that question, but a little bit of nuance to that is there's this common misconception that when we have urinary leakage or we have pelvic floor issues, it's because there's a weakness in the system, which is why people default to Kegels, which Kegels are pelvic floor muscle contractions. And when you go to your doctor because of leakage, your doctor doesn't have all this extra nuance that like I have my certification in. They just learn in med school that if someone has leakage, all they have to do is tighten up their pelvic floor and do Kegels, which is why society associates any pelvic floor issues with Kegels. However, when a muscle is too tight, right? Let's say your pelvic floor is already at like a higher tone like this at most of the time, and then it comes down to jumping or having to lift a really heavy weight, and your pelvic floor really needs to integrate and work with the rest of your body. If the muscle's already tight, it's not going to be able to generate as much power. So the muscle is not necessarily like weak or loose. I hate that word when talking about the pelvic floor, but that's the word people think. It's not necessarily an issue with the muscle tone. It's the fact that it's not an issue that the muscle's not toned enough. It's the fact that there's too much tone that the muscle can't relax in order to quickly generate movement. So for example, with jumping on a trampoline, those are quick movements up and down that your pelvic floor needs to be able to yield. So if you don't have enough of the relaxation, you're not going to have enough yield in your pelvic floor, and therefore you're not going to produce enough force.
Interesting.
So I think people just think we do Kegels and we strengthen, and that's helping my pelvic floor. Doing Pilates and core power and clench is going to help, but a lot of times it depends on the situation, but it can make things worse. Like for you, it would probably make things worse.
Yeah.
Based off of like what I know about you.
Yeah. It almost sounds like a breath. Like if you're taking short breaths, like if you can't fully like exhale and empty out, then you can't take as full of an inhale. Like the balloon expansion, you know, it's going to be like this balloon that's like getting like half blown up and then tightening.
And it's great that you brought the breath up, because every time you breathe, your pelvic floor has to yield. So like every time you inhale, your pelvic floor should relax. Every time you exhale, it naturally goes back up a little bit. So if you are a person that's really anxious or doing shallow breaths in general, or you're not even in control of your breathing, it can result in pelvic floor issues as well, which is so common in our society. Like so many of us are anxious. So
how do you bring your clients through that? Or like what's a quick practice that somebody can do to like connect to their pelvic floor and do a breath? You can even guide us through it.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, it's gonna sound really confusing if this is your first time doing it, but you just have to trust me on this. And sometimes it's not easy to feel your pelvic floor because it is an automatic muscle group, and this movement that I'm going to cue you through is not very dramatic. It's just like a subtle movement. But basically what you'll want to do, if it feels comfortable, you can close your eyes, and you want to just bring all of your awareness to your pelvic floor and your perineum. So think about the space between your vagina and your anus. And now think about your rib cage expanding 360 degrees. So as you inhale, visualize that expansion 360 degrees. And as you exhale, don't really do anything. Stay passive and stay soft. Let's do one more round of that. So inhale 360 expansion. Exhale, stay soft. Now you'll bring your awareness to your pelvic floor, and as you inhale, imagine that you're sending your breath all the way down to your vaginal opening, okay? So inhale, allow your pelvic floor to open and drop and blossom. And as you exhale, you don't really have to do anything, just be passive. And let's do that a couple more rounds. So inhale, the flower is blossoming open. Exhale, be soft. Try not to engage on the exhale, which is sometimes hard. Let's do one more. You look good, Vanessa. Inhale. Can you feel that? It's subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it? You can feel the inhale going down.
Yeah, I can definitely feel it.
Good. I think you have good awareness from the one time we worked together.
Yeah.
I think you were doing it pretty good.
Yeah, I think my mind to vulva connection has gotten better. Like, I feel like I can really connect to it. And I was even thinking while I was doing it how it's so challenging to connect to because it's not something that you can sensationally feel, right? Like my lips are not opening and closing.
Yeah, it's not like you can control your labia. That's so funny. But
me and my friend were doing a yoga class together on my, like, in my living room. We were FaceTiming and she teaches yoga too, and we're like in butterfly, like, inhale, spread your lips open. We were just fucking kidding. It was so funny.
I mean, you're getting the right cueing though. It's inhale, spread, and expand. However, one thing that will help people, so it's usually hard for people to connect with it off of just what we just did. A lot of times I have
they're like, I don't feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have noticed it takes people a couple sessions to feel it. And mind you, when I'm doing this with clients, they are sitting on my table and I have my finger inside of them and I'm giving them feedback. And me touching that muscle physically is helping them connect. Another thing you can do is you can put your own finger in there. And you can lay down and you can breathe, and that once you actually touch the muscles itself, you can feel it. However, it is meant to be subtle, so we're not looking for a huge sensation, because if you could really feel your pelvic floor fully drop every time you inhaled, that would be really annoying, right? It's like an automatic muscle group. You shouldn't feel it that hard. If you have no feeling of it at all, like it doesn't feel like anything, it might be a sign of tension. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Interesting.
Because if there's not a lot of range of motion, you're just not going to feel much.
Do you do anything with like hormones and how they affect your pelvic health?
Yep. So I think hormones are a whole nother world out there. And I think this is where like functional nutrition really comes into play, and diet and lifestyle and all of that. I do have to sometimes check in with people and what symptoms they have and refer out. But in general, we need a good amount of estrogen in our bodies in order to have a really supple, lubricated, stretchy, and like strong pelvic floor. And I do see issues with low estrogen more than anything. So if somebody has really low estrogen, which you see that in postpartum women, menopausal women, and unfortunately sometimes the girlies who've been on birth control for a really long time, it just depletes your estrogen. So sometimes with that, there will be thinning of the vaginal tissues, and that can be corrected by either going to your doctor and getting like a topical vaginal estrogen cream and being consistent with that, or getting off birth control for some period of time, fixing your diet, things like that.
How do you feel like it's time to know when to see a pelvic floor therapist? I think Hello? I would say if you have any symptoms relating to pain with sex, any type of urinary leakage, any type of like bladder difficulty that's like affecting your life, chronic constipation, and then any type of chronic pelvic pain, pelvic floor physical therapy, at least even one session or even just understanding the area can probably help. Also, I'm biased and I think every pregnant person should go to a pelvic floor PT because we really help support your pelvic floor throughout pregnancy. And when you have that connection, you're going to have better ability to give birth and then of course like postpartum outcomes too. But I feel like pregnancy and postpartum is when most people gravitate towards pelvic floor anyways, and it's kind of like that population has no problem coming to pelvic floor, but it's people like you who are young and healthy and fit and just slapping a pad on and doing shuffling every once in a while and there's a little bit of leakage. It's those people that probably
need to be a little bit more proactive before it becomes like, you don't want to be like 40, like by the time you're in menopause, your pelvic floor is going to be like,
I'm going to be fucked. Yeah, we don't want that. Yeah. Also, like, I want to have kids, and I think about that a lot. Like when you posted your pre-birth course or, you know, things like that. I'm like, I want to be the proactive one. Like, I feel like I preach that all the time.
Yeah.
And that is just, it's an area that I've neglected and normalized. And I think us as women are good at that with a lot of different symptoms that we experience. We just try to keep going until our body's literally pelvic, screaming. Yeah.
Especially period pain and pelvic pain. Like,
totally.
We are used to neglecting that area of our body because being a woman is hard. Having periods is hard. Like, we're taught that these are really painful, hard things and it's an easy thing to hide. Like, nobody would have ever known that you leak when you shuffle.
No.
Until you announced it.
But then think about the shame. Yeah. Like, of course, when I'm in my little cozy living room and I'm like, yeah, I pee my pants. Like, I don't care. But like in those environments, I would be so fucking embarrassed if like something were to happen, or just knowing that I'm going through that. Like there is that shameful, you know, tone to it.
There's shame. So I do think sometimes there's an avoidance because of shame, and because it's really hard to look your pelvic floor in the eye and be like, yo, like, look your vulva in the eye. Like, get a mirror and look at it. And
I am one of those girls that I'm like, I will get down there, no problem. Like, let me see a mirror. Let me see what's up. A lot of women probably aren't even comfortable putting their own finger up there. Like, I feel like when I tell my friends that I was swabbing around to see what the texture of my fluid is like for cycle tracking reasons and for like the struggles that I've had with BV and stuff, like I feel like people are just like, oh, Vanessa, like she's the comfortable one, just like getting up there, you know, or looking at it or whatever. But I think that work is so important, and it's something that only you can do with you. And it's like when you're behind closed doors with yourself, how are you relating to yourself? How are you connecting to yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? And I think mirror work and like reflecting, looking at it, feeling it is such a huge proponent to this healing journey, because we have been trained to be so disconnected from our bodies, from our vaginas, and there's so much rejection and tightness that you can feel. Like, I'm still undoing it with my partner too, you know, like I can feel my pelvic floor and my throat space closing off in intimate settings, just because it's something that that pressure, that like closing energy was put on me for so long that I'm still undoing it. And I think until this person, I didn't even feel safe, you know, like I didn't feel fully emotionally supported. So how am I supposed to relax and open and surrender when there isn't that emotional attunement with partnership too, you know?
Absolutely. And I think, again, you are a really confident and comfortable person, and you're very connected to your body. This process, even for you, is a little bit hard, and you're someone that's generally a little bit more comfortable than maybe the average woman. Yeah. So it just goes to show how we have really been trained from like day one to feel negatively towards this space. Like, imagine, like, as a little girl, you're kind of taught, like, I understand teaching little girls privacy about their private parts, right? Their vaginas. However, when you call it like, that's bad, that's the bad box. And then once we get
you can't even teach them the word.
Yeah. Which is it creates, that's where the shame starts at a very young age.
Avoidance.
So a lot of us are doing unlearning. And for me, I come from a cultural background. I'm Turkish, where like you're not really supposed to talk about periods at all, or you can't even talk about poop and pee. It's just like indecent, and you need to be so modest. I had a lot of unlearning to do, and my entire Instagram I talk about poop and pee and sex. So it's like, wow, like I'm doing the work right now, but I have had shame come up even with, like, even now I have shame come up that I have to work through.
Absolutely. So, those little blockages, the nervousness, and then you're like, wait, I remember who I am. Like, no, we're not, you know, feeding into this.
Oh my gosh, one time I made a video like educating people on the clitoris, and it went really viral. Most of my videos usually don't go viral, but this one had like over 1 million views. Like, even like celebrities viewed it. It was wild.
Damn.
And I gained like 10,000 followers, and it was all disgusting men. And it was like negative. Dude, it was like all negative attention. And I remember feeling so triggered, because basically what I've been warned about, like talking about this equals shame, became a reality for a moment. And I remember wanting to take the video down because I was so ashamed. And it, by the way, you guys, the video is not sexual. It's just me talking about like what the how many nerve endings the clitoris has. Right. It wasn't a sexual video, but men were sexualizing me. It was disgusting. And I remember being like, should I stop talking about sex on the internet? Because this is not what I want. And it was just a journey. And I left the video up. I wanted to delete it, but I left the video up, deleted a bunch of comments. Now that doesn't happen anymore, where my videos end up on the wrong side of Instagram. 90% of my followers are women. But it was like a moment where I was like, holy shit, this is the shame.
Like a turning moment. And you could have easily chose to like shut it up and like,
I almost did. Because there were some crazy ass comments. I was like, what is
I
this?
Bet. I can't even imagine.
Yep. And if I had like allowed the shame to get to me, like, is it really my fault that I posted an educational video that
not at all
and men are sexualizing it? Or is it their
problem? Male brain?
Like, whose problem? Is that my problem or is that their problem?
1000%.
So it was like, this stuff happens. There is shame around that area, even if you think you're comfortable with it.
Totally.
A lot.
Especially the outward expression of it. Like any sort of outward expression with our femininity, addressing certain topics, showing it, like me shaking my ass on my story, or I posted something about like when my finals are over, when like I'm in semester break and I was freaking whipping my hair around and shaking that ass. And I got like male comments and like fully sexualized on TikTok. And I'm like, bitch, why can't I just show my femininity without being absolutely preyed upon? But that's just the male dynamic. Like, we're not doing that to men, you know?
Yeah, and that's what keeps us from expressing ourselves fully, you know? Is like the shame that we feel when we get negative attention that like we didn't even ask for. Yeah. So it's a lot of unlearning.
Yeah, and I feel like there's really no clear answer as to like how to fully work through that. Not just about posting taboo shit, but like,
you don't
the
have
shame
to
you feel in your body, right?
Yeah.
And like ultimately we're all going to experience some sort of intimacy with ourselves, with other people. And when there is shame and discomfort with ourselves, like how can we expect to actually open up to somebody else and feel comfortable and have that be an enjoyable experience? And I think more times than not, like when we're younger, until we learn to undo things at a certain point, like sex is scary and uncomfortable and painful and scarring and like not what the movies say that it is, you know?
Yeah.
How do you think that connecting to your pelvic floor has given you confidence in your relationships?
I think, okay, so understanding your pelvic floor and being able to connect with this area of your body without the context of sex, I think is so liberating and so empowering. And
interesting.
That knowledge, that's why I do what I do. Like even just spreading knowledge, like this is what it is. Yeah, it is okay to put a finger in your vagina just to explore and see what's going on, not even to masturbate. Like it actually doesn't always have to be sexual. So once you understand this body part and you realize it's a part of you and it's not something you need to be dissociated from, it just brings you confidence. I love that. And then when you are in an intimate relationship, right, explaining this to your partner, and then like you said earlier, you do need a safe partner. Like, I'm sorry, some of you girlies, your pelvic floor hurts because your partner sucks, because you don't feel safe.
He's not listening. They're not listening.
And sometimes it is hard to speak up, right? Especially in the context of sex. But that's, again, another thing that we have to unlearn.
Absolutely. If someone feels disconnected or frustrated with their body, what would you want them to hear?
Ooh, frustrated and disconnected with their body. I think this could go so many ways. I think I relate to this. I'm sure you relate to this too, because we've both been on journeys with our gut health and all of that.
Yeah. And I feel fucking disconnected and frustrated even when I'm doing all the things.
Yeah. Which also, Vanessa, I did want to say, like, please don't feel bad for not working on your pelvic health. Like, we had that one session. However, you have been working on yourself and doing so many things, and there's only so many appointments you can get to, and there's only so much money you can spend. And there's no, like, we are a whole human being. We're not just a pelvic floor. So ideally, working on your mental health, working on your gut health, working on other health will help your pelvic floor. So just keep that in mind too. If you're not ready for pelvic floor work, that's okay. Just as long as you know that this is an option and your time will come where you're ready to prioritize that And that's
100%.
okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah, and I need that too. Like, I'm doing my own health stuff, and I had my moment. Okay, to bring it back to the question you just asked, I had a moment where I felt betrayed by my body. Like, what the heck? Why do I have to eat such a restricted diet to feel like a normal human? Why do I have to spend thousands of dollars to just freaking survive the day? You know, like with my gut health.
Some fucking truth, dude.
And I'm still in the journey, and I know you are too. But when we feel disconnected from our bodies, it's almost like making the cycle worse, because our bodies have so much wisdom, and when we just slow down and listen to that wisdom and allow and trust our bodies and trust our innate ability to heal, and literally our body can heal. I've seen people come back from like way worse things that I'm dealing with personally. I've seen people come back from like terrible traumatic accidents and things like that. Our body can heal. So I think it's coming back to like, what does my body need? And sometimes what my body needs might be really different than what I think it needs. Right. So that might take a while to discover. But I think we have to bring the trust back in our bodies.
I think you nailed it on the head. The trust is like the biggest component. Trusting that the body can heal, not trying to control or like fear, because that energy literally causes dis-ease, however it's going to show up in the body.
And there's a level of acceptance, like, okay, even with my gut health journey now, like, I know it's going to take at least 6 months to a year to like actually feel like pretty good, like good, like a normal person without the issues I'm dealing with. Right. So same thing with pelvic floor stuff. Like, it's not a one and done. It's like a constant process, and it's a constant journey, and you're constantly reassessing always. So we just have to trust that our bodies heal. I have to keep reminding myself, like, my body has the ability to heal. I do this, I believe it when I look at others, like when I'm working with patients, I know they're going to do great. But it's hard when it's happening to you.
Totally.
Right? So,
yeah, that affirmational work is so important. Even the one you said, I believe my body's capable of healing. I've got 10 affirmations on sticky notes on my mirror. Like, there's always more affirmational work to do, because that mind-body connection, the things we tell ourselves, that rewiring is life-changing and ever transforming. You know, I've been doing this shit. I've been writing in journals. I've been manifesting. I've been writing down my affirmations for like almost a decade at this point. And I look back, like, journals past, and I'm like, I feel like I'm literally writing down the same shit now. Like, I'm going through some of the same struggles, but I think healing is a spiral, and like accepting that part of the journey too, of like, you're gonna revisit things that pop up. It's gonna be in a different way, but like having grace with that healing journey, with the pelvic floor journey, like not putting any extra pressure on ourselves to figure it out overnight. Like, I'm constantly doing that. And when I was talking to a friend about stressing over something with my health, she was like, what if you just like didn't try to like fix it all? You know, what if you just relaxed? And I know it's not that simple, but I think we always need the reminder that less is more sometimes. And like, I think when we're experiencing dis-ease or discomfort, a lot of times we want to throw everything into the fire and buy the new supplement and do the thing, and we can self-prescribe all day long. But I think like pulling back, like you were talking about, and we can get into this really quick too, like some of the irritants that I'm eating and drinking every day, somewhat knowing that I'm doing it and just doing it anyways. Like, there's so many factors that can contribute, but I lost my train of thought kind of. What was I? Simplifying, pulling back, and like actually going to see somebody that can help you like create somewhat of a plan. I think that co-regulation and that co-healing is so important, and not trying to do everything on our own. And like you were saying, you have to, it's kind of like therapy. When you find a practitioner, you kind of have to play around a little bit and see what's going to work for you. But I think really seeking out that help, and like that is a huge part of freeing yourself from the shame and teaching your body that you can receive the support, and simplifying the steps instead of getting overwhelmed by the information overload and feeling like you have to do everything all at once. So I really liked your advice of like the forgiveness and compassion aspect, and bringing it back to like trusting your body and the wisdom.
Yeah, the wisdom is there. It's within you. I just think we do disconnect when we're frustrated. And I love what you said about seeing a provider. I do think you have to find a right provider, right? Not everyone is the right match. You need to find the right person that you vibe with that is bringing out like your own intuition as well. But I do think people feel really comfortable once they have a provider, at least like what I'm talking about with the pelvic floor. It's interesting that sometimes people would rather me go inside their pelvic floor and release them and teach them about it than to go home and do it on their own because they're not ready for that yet. Like they need that baseline comfortability with guidance in order to be able to implement it themselves. So sometimes I do think you need a provider, and just like when it comes to gut health, even like it's just become so complicated that it's worth, if you have the ability to see a provider, right? It's worth the guidance. Absolutely. But not everyone has access to that. And so there are ways to even seek out content in a way where you're like learning about it yourself. Like there's books you can read, there's podcasts you can listen to and things like that too. But I do think guidance from a provider really helps.
Totally.
Honestly.
Just because I brought it up, will you touch on the main irritants or like foods or things that people are consuming in excess that might be contributing to some irritation?
Yeah, so this is specifically for people who have like urinary urgency, which means you feel like you have to pee all the time. So normal urinary frequency is every 2 to 4 hours, assuming that you're staying hydrated. So if you feel like you pee every hour, or let's say you just have the urge to pee, but you don't actually have to pee, like nothing comes out, that could be a pelvic floor issue. It could also be a diet related, like bladder issue. So Vanessa and I were just chatting about this, but common bladder irritants, and I don't want anyone that's listening to this to be so sad and to feel like you need to cut everything out. Just literally listen to your body and see what works for you. But a lot of acidic foods, so citrus fruits, spicy foods. Coffee is a bladder irritant because it has both an acidic component and a caffeine component. What else? Matcha and like other types of teas because of acid. Chocolate is a big one because again, it just has like an acid. Cacao, actually, I'm so sad.
Bummer.
I went to a cacao ceremony recently, and I actually do deal with bladder irritation sometimes, and it like fucked up my bladder, and I was like, I'm just not ready for it right now.
Right.
While I'm in the thick of it.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to cut it out forever. What else is a bladder irritant? Carbonated beverages, sodas, alcohol is a big one.
All the faves.
All the fun things. But, you know, again, it doesn't mean you have to cut everything out. There's just so many pieces to the puzzle. I do think you're dealing with a little bit of irritation.
For sure.
So
yeah. And also, I think the component of, like, what can you add in, like, different cooling, calming things, too, that can, like, start to crowd out.
Stuff,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you haven't looked into Ayurveda and figured out your energy type, excuse me, then I think that would be a good place to start too. Okay, I want to do something fun. I have a quick reel of like a this or that.
Oh my gosh, fun.
Some like fun things, some sexual things, some like Angels Anonymous themed things. So I'm just gonna reel through them, okay? Coffee or tea?
Damn, tea. I'm in my tea era.
Amazing. Yeah, you are. The herbal teas. Morning shower or night shower?
Night shower, always.
Amazing. Takeout or home cooked?
Takeout.
Really?
I'm sorry. You know what? I hate cooking.
Really?
And I'm so restricted.
I was wondering what you were going to say about this answer.
Like right now I'm only cooking, so I'm kind of mad, but I love a good takeout. Like when I'm ready for... when I don't want to cook and I give myself permission to take takeout.
Like an Asian takeout?
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
Love it.
Bra or no bra?
No bra.
City walks or nature walks?
Nature walks.
Alone time or group hangs?
Alone time.
Journaling or voice notes?
Ooh. Journaling.
Deep breaths or deep stretches?
Deep breaths.
Kegels or relaxation?
Relaxation.
Okay, doggy or missionary?
Missionary, girl.
You on top?
No, I love me some
on
missionary.
Bottom.
I love the Pillow Princess missionary.
Lights on or lights off?
Dim. Like, there has to be some light on.
Right, let me see.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be like...
I don't want it to be bright light.
No. I like that answer.
Lights on sounds really aggressive.
Yeah, it does. Lights dimmed.
Lights dimmed.
Verbal reassurance or physical touch?
Verbal reassurance.
I already know your answer to this one. Planned or spontaneous?
Planned. Is that what you thought my answer was?
For sure.
Did I give planned vibes?
Yes. But you are spontaneous too. You're fun. I don't think spontaneous means like,
oh, I'm not offended.
Not rigid, but you've got your shit on lock.
I'm not spontaneous. I'm not mad about it.
Messy bun or slicked back?
Messy bun.
Clean girl or cozy girl?
Cozy girl.
Overthink or avoid?
Overthink.
Guilty pleasure or no shame pleasure?
No shame pleasure.
That was fun.
Love it. Thanks for that.
I think it's such a good way to just people are going to be thinking about what their answer is to it too, and just getting to know you a little better. It's fun. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was thinking about a question that I want to ask anybody that I have on the podcast. What is something that you carried silently for a long time that you now realized you didn't need to carry alone? Like, what's something that you really struggled with and now you don't feel like you're carrying it?
I actually think, just to tie it all together, it's just shame in my pelvic floor.
Damn.
I, for the longest time, oh my gosh, so not just religious shame, but I also was ashamed about my vulva and what it looked like.
Yeah.
Which is
outie lips unite.
Yeah, why are we all stressed
Hated
about
her.
that?
Hated her.
So silly. It's so silly.
I literally wouldn't walk around without pants on, with certain partners, and I'm like, bitch, what are you thinking? They're seeing it all when you be fucking and then I'm like, oh, don't look.
Yeah, I think a lot.
And now I'm like, she is beaut.
It is, and I feel like at this point I've seen so many vulvas that I think that's so absurd and ridiculous. And I have had clients who express that they feel weird about what it looks like, and I'm like, that is literally the most beautiful vulva I've ever seen in my life, but okay.
Right.
Okay. So I think it's fun that a lot of us can relate on this. I guess at least the outie girlies can relate on this.
Not the perfect baby vaginas. Yeah, I'm like, screw you guys.
It's good for that. That's okay if you have that too, because, it's all shapes and sizes. But yeah, just realizing a lot of us for some reason have shame down there. So if you feel that way, you are not alone. Mm-hmm. You are not carrying that alone. We're all in it together, and hopefully we're releasing that shit together.
I love that. Where can people find you and learn more?
Thanks. So my website is embodiedhealingpt.com. My Instagram is seher.dpt. That's where you can find me. And then it's really self-explanatory from there. Yeah. I do private one-on-one sessions, physical therapy sessions at my office. I'm out of network with insurances, but sometimes I can send you a super bill where insurance will cover it. But that allows me to give you really high quality care. So I'm always here when you need me. And if that's not your cup of tea, I'm a yoga teacher in Denver, so you can come to a class.
I'm going tonight.
Oh my gosh. Wait, am I teaching tonight?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, it's Monday. Yay, you're coming?
Your 6 p.m. flow. I'm coming. I'm double dipping because I'm doing I'm attempting the January challenge.
That's wild.
I've never done it, and I don't have school till the 20th, so I'm like, let's fucking go.
Holy crap.
30 classes in January. Let's see.
That's actually pretty sick.
Just because I need a mental change too. Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's something I think with enough fluidity, fuck a 75 hard. I am not that girly.
Neither.
Even any sort of if I kind of is going against the grain of everybody should be resting. It's not till spring equinox, but I'm like, I need a little mental challenge, and
yoga
with the fluidity
restful.
of doing slow flows, I think that's going to be a huge focus for me, is getting into those later classes.
Yay!
But yeah, I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun.
I'll be there. Yeah,
Yay. Okay,
her classes are amazing. Me and Spencer have taken one.
Yay.
Bring your mans, bring your partner. That's such another good way to connect to yourself and to any level of intimacy that you want to share with a friend, a partner.
Honestly, I really think I prescribe yoga as physical therapy for people all the time.
1000%.
Just do some yoga and pay attention
it's
to your body.
It's so applicable too. You can go to a class anywhere. If you get referred to a teacher that you feel is going to be the style that you want for them, or the slow flow, or prescribing yin and stuff too. I feel it's such a healing environment, and different than being in a sterile clinic where you're just doing band work, it's a spiritual experience.
Yep, I think there's like so many different ways to heal, and it doesn't always have to be a medical doctor or even a physical therapist. It can be any type of healing practitioner or like your self-work too.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yay, we did it!
We did it! That was so fun!
Thank you! Good job!
Good job!